You are here now, still, breathing. Notice the quiet. This pause is not weakness. It is the space before a decision. You already know what holds you back. Not fear, not lack of ability. Hesitation, the moment where you wait, the second you delay, the choice you feel and do not take. That hesitation has a cost. It steals momentum. It trades your future for comfort. Listen carefully. This is the moment everything changes for you. You are not broken. You are unfinished. What you feel right now is not confusion. It is readiness pressing against an old identity. The version of you that waits ends here. You do not need more time. You need a decision. Stand still for one more breath, and then step forward. From this moment on, you are becoming someone new. This path begins now, quietly, powerfully, and permanently, with your choice alone starting right here. Chapter 1. The Cost of Hesitation. Stand still, just for a moment, not to pause your life, but to see it. Notice where you are. Notice how often you arrive at the same edge. The edge between knowing and doing. Hesitation is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not feel dramatic. It feels reasonable. It feels safe. That is why it survives. You were never born hesitant. You learned it. You practiced it. You repeated it until it felt natural. Hesitation is not who you are. It is what you do when decision power is untrained. Think about the moments that mattered, not the big dramatic ones. The small ones, the subtle ones, the message you did not send, the opportunity you almost took, the step you felt ready for and postponed. Those moments shape outcomes. Quietly, relentlessly. Hesitation does not ruin lives in a single strike. It erodes them through delay. There is an inner conflict inside you. You feel it now. Comfort on one side, growth on the other. Comfort speaks softly. It says later, soon, not yet. Growth speaks differently. It does not beg. It waits. You stand between them every day. Imagine yourself standing in front of a door. You have been there before. Your hand reaches for the handle. You already know what is behind it. Change, responsibility, expansion. The door does not resist you. It is unlocked. It never needed permission. Yet you step back. You tell yourself you are being careful. You call it caution. You call it patience. But deep down you know the truth. This is not caution. This is hesitation. Caution moves forward with awareness. Hesitation stays still with excuse. And staying still has a cost. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce an identity. Not consciously, but neurologically. Emotionally, you teach your mind that delay is acceptable. You teach your body to stand down when it should step up. Over time, this becomes familiar, comfortable, automatic. That is how hesitation becomes a habit. You do not feel weak. You feel normal. That is the danger. Look at your life honestly, not with judgment, with clarity. Where did hesitation shape the path you are on now? Where did waiting become a pattern? You are not wrong for this. You are human, but you are also capable of more. The cost of hesitation is not failure. It is unrealized strength. It is leadership left dormant. It is potential left unopened. You do not need to become someone else. You need to stop delaying who you already are. Stand still again. Notice what this awareness feels like. This is the first crack in the old identity. It may feel uncomfortable. That is a good sign. Discomfort means something false is loosening its grip. Hesitation thrives in unconsciousness. It weakens in awareness. Right now, you are becoming aware. You are seeing the pattern. You are naming it. And naming something gives you leverage. You are not here by accident. You are here because part of you is ready to move. Say it quietly inside yourself, without drama, without pressure. I am ready. Feel what that does. Not excitement, not fear, readiness. This chapter is not about forcing action. It is about reclaiming choice. Hesitation stole choice by disguising itself as safety. Now you see it. You do not need to rush. You need to choose. Choose awareness over autopilot. Choose growth over delay. The door is still there. It has always been there. And for the first time, you are not stepping back automatically. You are standing, present, alert. Something has shifted. This is not the decision yet. This is the moment before it, the space where identity begins to change. Hold this feeling. Carry it forward, because once you see the cost of hesitation, you can never fully unsee it. And the next time you reach for the handle, your hand will not feel the same. Chapter 2. Awareness is the first breakthrough. Look closer, not around you, within you. There is a quiet moment that happens before every hesitation. A fraction of a second, a subtle pause. Most people miss it. You will not. Awareness begins here. You are not here to judge yourself. You are here to see yourself. There is a difference. Judgment eats defense. Awareness creates power. Right now, stay silent inside. No explanations, no stories, just observation. Notice how your mind moves when a decision appears. Notice how your body responds. The tightening, the delay, the internal negotiation. This is not failure. This is data. Every habit leaves a trail. Hesitation is no different. It leaves patterns, repeated pauses, familiar doubts, predictable delays. You begin to see them only when you stop running from them. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is observation without distortion. Sit in that silence now. You are watching yourself from a higher position, not above with arrogance, above with clarity. This is where change begins. You cannot outgrow what you refuse to see, and you cannot see what you rush past. Awareness slows time. It stretches moments. The pause you once slipped into unconsciously now becomes visible. You catch yourself thinking, I will do it later. I need more certainty. I am not ready yet. These thoughts are familiar. That is important. Familiar thoughts feel safe, even when they limit you. You are not fighting them now. You are studying them. That alone weakens their hold. There is an old version of you that lives on autopilot. It is not evil. It is not weak. It is simply conditioned. That version reacts. It delays. It chooses comfort when pressure rises. You are not trying to destroy that version. You are outgrowing it. Growth is not rejection. Growth is replacement, and replacement starts with awareness. Look back at moments that shaped your path, not the obvious ones, the quiet ones, the meeting where you stayed silent, the idea you did not voice, the opportunity you felt but postponed. Those moments did not feel dramatic. That is why they mattered. They trained you. Every pause trained your nervous system. Every delay taught your mind a rule. The rule was simple. Wait. Now you are rewriting that rule. But rewriting requires honesty. Tell the truth, not out loud. Internally, where do you hesitate most? When responsibility increases, when visibility rises, when something meaningful is at stake. Be exact. Vague awareness changes nothing. Precise awareness changes everything. You are not labeling yourself. You are mapping behavior. This is leadership directed inward. Leaders do not avoid reality. They observe it calmly. Right now, you're practicing that skill. Notice how awareness creates space. Space between impulse and action. That space is power. Without awareness, hesitation controls you. With awareness, you choose. The old version of you avoided this moment. It stayed busy, distracted, reactive. You are staying. That is the first breakthrough. Silence deepens your perception. You begin to hear subtler signal. The moment your breath shortens, the moment your shoulders tighten, the moment your thoughts begin to circle instead of move. These are signals, not problems. They tell you exactly where growth is required. Most people numb these signals. You are decoding them. This is not emotional analysis. This is strategic self-awareness. You are learning how you operate under pressure. And pressure will come. It always does. The question is no longer whether you hesitate. The question is whether you see it happening. Because once you see it, you are no longer controlled by it. Awareness interrupts automation. The old self runs scripts. The new self reads them. You begin to recognize the voice that says, be careful. Sometimes it is wisdom. Sometimes it is fear dressed as logic. Awareness teaches you to tell the difference. You do not rush into action. You do not freeze in delay. You observe. Then you decide. This is maturity. Emotional honesty is required here. Not harshness, not self-criticism, just truth. You are allowed to see your pattern without attacking yourself for having them. Attack creates resistance. Honesty creates momentum. Say it internally, without judgment. This is where I pause. Feel the steadiness that follows. That steadiness is not comfort. It is alignment. The more you observe, the less power hesitation has. Because habits depend on invisibility. You are removing that invisibility now. Notice how awareness does not exhaust you. It clarifies you. You feel calmer, more centered. That calm is strength. This is the quiet confidence of someone who sees clearly. The old version of you rushed to avoid discomfort. The new version stays to understand it. Understanding leads to mastery. You are not fixing yourself. You are training perception. And perception shapes choice. Choice shapes identity. This chapter is not loud. It is precise. It sharpens your internal vision. From this point on, hesitation will feel different. Not stronger, weaker. Because you see it forming. You feel it early. That is leverage. Awareness does not force action. It prepares it. And preparation is power that looks calm. Stay here for a moment longer. In this clarity, no urgency, no pressure, just truth. Tell the truth one more time. You are no longer asleep in your pattern. You are awake inside them. And once awareness arrives, the old self can no longer operate unchecked. Something irreversible has begun. This is not transformation yet. This is the condition that makes transformation inevitable. Carry this awareness forward, quietly, steadily, because the next time hesitation appears, you will recognize it instantly, and recognition changes everything. Chapter 3, Comfort is not safety. Step forward, not fast, not dramatically, just forward, and stay present. Comfort has a sound. It is quiet, reassuring, familiar. It tells you nothing is wrong. It tells you to relax. It tells you there is time. Comfort does not feel like danger. That is why it works. You were taught to seek comfort early. Rest when tired. Avoid discomfort. Choose what feels good now. That teaching was incomplete. Comfort is not safety. Comfort is familiarity. And familiarity can become a cage, not a cold cage, not a harsh one, a warm cage, a place that feels acceptable, predictable, manageable. You can survive there. You can function there. You can even succeed in small ways there, but you do not expand there. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth because you already know how to carry it. You know its weight. You know its limits. You know how to complain about it quietly and keep going. That familiarity tricks the mind. It says, this is who you are. This is how far you go. Comfort does not say these things directly. It implies them through repetition. Day after day, you wake up, you follow routines, you stay within invisible boundary. Nothing breaks, nothing explodes, and that becomes the proof you use to stay. But stagnation does not announce itself. It blends in. You feel it as restless, as low irritation, as the sense that something is missing but unclear. That feeling is not dissatisfaction. It is growth knocking quietly. Most people ignore it. They distract themselves. They numb it. They tell themselves they should be grateful. Gratitude is important, but gratitude without growth becomes resignation. You are allowed to want more without hating where you are. Comfort convinces you otherwise. It tells you growth must feel good immediately. That progress should feel smooth. That power should feel natural from the start. That is not how growth works. Growth feels awkward, clumsy, uncertain at first because it stretches you beyond your current identity. Think about the moments when you almost changed something meaningful. Almost. The habit you considered breaking, the standard you thought about raising, the responsibility you nearly accepted. What stopped you was not fear of failure. It was fear of discomfort. The fear of feeling inexperienced again. The fear of being seen learning. The fear of temporary instability. Comfort protects the ego. Growth challenges it. This is where delayed gratification enters. Delayed gratification is not denial. It is prioritization. It says, I will tolerate discomfort now to gain strength later. Comfort says the opposite. Feel good now. Stay the same. Postpone strength. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you reinforce a rule. The rule says, discomfort is dangerous, but discomfort is not danger. It is information. It tells you where expansion is required. Stay present with that truth. Do not rush past it. Your nervous system learned to associate unfamiliar feelings with threat. That learning kept you safe once. Now it limits you. Safety and comfort are not the same. Safety allows challenge within structure. Comfort avoids challenge altogether. You do not need to destroy comfort. You need to stop confusing it with protection. Look at your warm cages. The routines that feel harmless. The habits that seem minor. The limits you stop questioning. They do not hurt you directly. They soften you slowly. Warm cages do not lock you. They make you forget you can leave. You adapt. You settle. You stop noticing how small the space has become. Until one day, growth demands attention. It arrives as pressure, as dissatisfaction, as urgency without a clear cause. That pressure is not failure. It is readiness. Growth never asks politely forever. If ignored, it turns into frustration. This is the rising tension you feel now. Part of you wants to stay. Part of you wants to move. Comfort argues with logic. Growth speaks with instinct. Comfort lists reasons. Growth offers a direction. And standing between them is uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a sign to stop. It is a sign you are at the threshold. Step forward, not into chaos, into unfamiliar responsibility. Responsibility is the doorway out of the cage. Responsibility requires delayed gratification. It asks you to do what matters before what feels easy. That is how power is built. Power does not arrive suddenly. It accumulates through consistent discomfort, tolerated with intention. At first, you feel exposed. Your old habits cannot protect you. You notice uncertainty, self-doubt, mental resistance. Stay present. Do not escape into distraction. Do not retreat into comfort stories. Presence stabilizes you while growth reshapes you. The temptation to go back will appear. It always does. Comfort will remind you of how easy things were, how predictable, how calm. But that calm was shallow. True calm comes later, after capacity increases. The calm that follows strength is different from the calm that avoids challenge. One is earned, one is borrowed. Borrowed calm costs you later. Earned calm stays. You are not meant to live in constant discomfort. You are meant to pass through it regularly. That is how expansion happens. Each time you delay gratification, you send yourself a signal. I trust my future more than my comfort. That signal builds confidence, not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that does not need validation. Your identity begins to shift here, not because you feel powerful yet, but because you act despite unfamiliarity. Action rewires belief. Comfort never does. Comfort preserves who you were. Growth reveals who you can become. The warm cage loses its appeal once you realize how much space exists beyond it. But you must feel that space first. That requires courage, not dramatic courage, practical courage. The courage to stay present while uncomfortable. Stay present now. Notice the tension in your body, the alertness, the energy. This is not anxiety. It is activation. Your system is preparing for expansion. Most people interpret this sensation as a warning. You are learning to read it as a signal. The signal says, you are growing. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels powerful. Remember that line. Say it internally. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels powerful. This chapter is not asking you to abandon comfort entirely. It is asking you to stop obeying it automatically. You choose when to rest. You choose when to push. Choice is safety. Automatic comfort is not. You are learning to tolerate the early stages of growth without needing immediate reassurance. That skill changes everything, because once you can stay present through discomfort, you are no longer controlled by it. You become adaptable, resilient, capable of sustained effort. The warm cage no longer defines your limits. You can step out, step back in if needed, and step out again stronger. That is freedom. Freedom is not the absence of discomfort. It is the ability to move through it deliberately. Feel how your perspective has shifted. Comfort still exists, but it no longer decides for you. You decide. Step forward again, not away from comfort, beyond it, and stay present, because what feels unfamiliar now is shaping the strength you will soon recognize as your own. Chapter 4. Decision creates identity. Decide now, not later, not after you feel confident, not when conditions improve. Now, because identity is not built by intention. It is built by repetition. You do not become strong by wanting strength. You become strong by choosing actions that require it. This is where most people misunderstand themselves. They wait to feel ready. They wait for certainty. They wait for motivation to arrive and stay. That waiting shapes who they become. Motivation is unstable. It rises and falls. It reacts to mood, energy, and circumstance. Identity does not. Identity is trained. Every decision you make casts a vote. Not for what you want, for who you are becoming. Small decisions matter, especially the ones no one sees. The decision to act when you feel uncertain. The decision to continue when comfort pulls you back. The decision to move before you feel confident. Those decisions are quiet, but they are permanent. You have lived long enough to see this pattern. Look back. Who you are today is not the result of one defining moment. It is the result of repeated choices. What you tolerated, what you postponed, what you followed through on. Those choices built habits. Habits built identity. You did not wake up one day as the person you are now. You trained into it. That is not regret. That is leverage, because the same process can work in your favor. This is where the identity shift begins. Not with emotion, with decision. A decision is different from a wish. A wish waits. A decision moves. Decide now. Feel the weight of that statement. Decision creates direction. Direction creates behavior. Behavior creates identity. Most people reverse this order. They want identity first, then behavior. It never works that way. You act first. Identity follows. That is why waiting to feel ready keeps you stuck. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a stance. You take the stance. then the feeling catches up. This is uncomfortable to accept because it removes excuses, but it gives you power. You are not powerless because you hesitate. You hesitate because you have not trained decision power. Training requires repetition. This is where repetition becomes your ally. Not repetition of thoughts, repetition of actions. Each time you decide despite uncertainty, you reinforce a new signal. I move, say it internally. I move, say it again. I move. Notice how your body responds. Not excitement, alignment. This is the first transformation piece. It does not look dramatic. It feels solid. Decisions begin to stack. One decision does not change identity. Repeated decisions do. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Intensity burns. Consistency builds. You do not need a heroic moment. You need a standard. Standards remove negotiation. When a decision is tied to identity, you do not debate it. You act. That is leadership. Leadership is not control over others. It is control over choice. Right now, you are learning to lead yourself. The old version of you negotiate. It asks, how do I feel? The new version asks, what is required? That single shift changes everything. Notice the difference. Feelings fluctuate. Requirements do not. When you decide based on requirement, you become reliable. Reliability builds confidence. Not confidence first. Reliability first. You trust yourself because you do what you decide. Trust compounds. With every follow-through, your internal authority grows. You stop questioning yourself constantly. You stop needing reassurance because you have evidence. Evidence comes from action. This is why short, sharp decisions matter. Decide, move, do not overthink. Overthinking is hesitation wearing intelligence. Clarity comes after movement, not before. This is difficult for the mind to accept. The mind wants certainty before action. Reality works in reverse. Action creates clarity. Say it slowly. Action creates clarity. This is not recklessness. It is responsibility. Responsible people decide. They adjust if needed, but they do not freeze. Freezing creates nothing. Move creates feedback. Feedback creates refinement. Refinement creates mastery. That is the path. The old self waits for perfect conditions. The new self creates conditions through action. Which one do you choose to train? Every decision is a practice rep. You are either practicing hesitation or practicing leadership. There is no neutral. Neutral is an illusion created by delay. Move, feel the urgency rise. This is not panic. This is momentum building. Momentum feels different than motivation. Motivation feels emotional. Momentum feels physical. Once momentum starts, it carries you forward, but it must be initiated. That initiation is decision. Decide now, even if the decision is small, especially if it is small. Small decisions build capacity. You do not lift maximum weight first. You build strength gradually. Decision power works the same way. Each completed decision strengthens the next one. This is why identity change feels sudden from the outside, but it is gradual from the inside. People will say you changed. You will know you trained. This chapter is not asking you to become fearless. It is asking you to become decisive. Fear can exist. Decision moves anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of decision. Say the affirmation now. I decide who I become. Say it again. I decide who I become. Feel the authority in that statement, not arrogance. Ownership. Ownership ends hesitation. When you own your direction, you stop waiting for permission. Permission is another form of delay. You give yourself permission through decision. The first time feels heavy. The second time feels deliberate. The third time feels natural. That is identity forming. Short, sharp repetitions shape it. Decide, move, decide, move. Each repetition carves a deeper groove. You begin to recognize yourself as someone who acts. That recognition changes behavior automatically. This is the internal shift most people never experience because they never decide consistently enough to reach it. You are crossing that threshold now. Notice how the internal dialogue quiets. Once decision is made, indecision creates noise. Decision creates silence. Silence is clarity. That clarity feels calm. This is not tension anymore. This is alignment. You are aligned with action. And alignment feels powerful because energy is no longer split. Half wanting, half resisting. Now it moves in one direction. Forward. You do not need to announce this change. You do not need approval. Identity solidifies through behavior, not explanation. Explain less. Decide more. That is the rhythm. As decisions stack, your self-image updates automatically. You no longer say, I hope, I try, you say. I do. That language shift is not cosmetic. It is neurological. The brain rewires based on action. You are rewiring now. This is the first transformation peak. It is not loud. It is decisive. You feel grounded, clear. The old hesitation does not vanish instantly. It weakens because decision is replacing it. Replacement is how habits die. You are not fighting the old self. You are outgrowing it. With every decision, you step further into the new identity, the identity that moves. This chapter ends here deliberately, not with completion, with momentum, because the next challenge will test whether this decision becomes a pattern. Hold this state. Decide again when pressure rises. Decide again when comfort calls. Identity is not proven once. It is proven repeatedly, and you have already begun. Chapter 5, Training the Mind to Act. Focus, not force, not tension. Focus. Bring your attention back to the present moment. Right here, right now. This chapter is about training, not motivation, not inspiration. Training, because action is not a personality trait. It is a conditioned response. You have already trained your mind before. You just did not call it that. Every habit you have now is the result of repetition. Every pattern of delay, every pattern of avoidance, every pattern of follow-through. Training happened whether you intended it or not. Now you are choosing to train deliberately. Discipline, is often misunderstood. People think it is punishment, restriction, rigidity. That misunderstanding keeps them away from it. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. It is the decision to treat your future seriously. When you respect yourself, you do not rely on mood. You do not wait for emotional permission. You set standards. Standards simplify action. Emotion is unpredictable. Standards are stable. When action depends on emotion, it feels heavy, inconsistent, exhausting. When action depends on standard, it becomes automatic. That is the shift you are making now. Standards remove negotiation. Negotiation drains energy. Every internal debate costs you momentum. Every should I weakens follow-through. Training the mind to act means reducing friction. You reduce friction by deciding in advance how you operate. You do not ask yourself every time. You do not reconsider endlessly. You already decided. That is calm authority. Calm authority does not argue with itself. It directs. Focus returns here. Focus is not intensity. Focus is direction without distraction. You bring your attention back again and again. Not harshly, firmly. This is a mental repetition. Each time you notice distraction and return to the task, you complete a rep. Mental reps work the same way physical reps do. At first they feel awkward. You forget. You drift. Then you notice sooner. You return faster. Eventually, focus becomes familiar. That familiarity is trained. Most people believe they lack discipline. What they lack is repetition. Discipline is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill you practice. And like all skills, it feels effortful before it feels natural. The mind resists structure at first because structure removes escape routes. Escape routes feel comforting, but they weaken execution. Training removes those exits gently. You are not forcing compliance. You are building alignment. Alignment between intention and action. That alignment feels calm. Notice the tone of this chapter. It is steady, grounded. That is intentional. Calm authority trains faster than intensity. Intensity spikes and crashes. Calm consistency compound. This is why standards matter. Standards do not shout. They persist. You show up because that is who you are now, not because you feel like it. This is self-respect. Self-respect says, I do not abandon myself when it becomes uncomfortable. Training the mind to act means you follow through. Even when emotion fluctuates, emotion is allowed to exist. It is not allowed to decide. Feelings inform. Standards decide. That distinction is critical. You are not suppressing emotion. You are leading it. Leadership starts internally. When your mind knows that decisions will be executed, resistance decreases. Resistance comes from uncertainty. Uncertainty says, maybe we will act, maybe we will not. That indecision creates tension. When the mind trusts follow-through, it relaxes. Trust is built through consistency. Each time you execute despite low emotion, you send a signal. This matters. That signal builds internal authority. Authority is not loud. It is reliable. You are becoming reliable to yourself. This changes your self-image quietly. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who executes. That shift reduces effort. Effort is high when identity and behavior conflict. effort decreases. When they align, this is why action becomes easier over time. Not because tasks change, because you chain. Mental conditioning works through repetition. Small actions done consistently train the nervous system. You are teaching your system that action is normal, not exceptional, not dramatic. Normal. This is important. When action feels normal, hesitation loses its grip. Hesitation thrives on novelty, on uncertainty. Repetition removes novelty. You are normalizing execution. This is not about productivity. It is about identity. Productivity is an outcome. Identity is the cause. Focus returns again. Bring your attention back. This is another rep. You may notice impatience, a desire for faster results. That is natural. Training the mind includes training patience. Patience is not waiting passively. It is acting consistently, without immediate reward. Delayed gratification lives here. You execute now, for results you cannot yet see. That builds trust in yourself. Trust removes anxiety. Anxiety comes from uncertainty about follow-through. You are resolving that uncertainty through action. Execute, not perfectly, consistently. Perfectionism is another form of delay. Execution values progress over polish. Polish comes later. This is training, not performance. Training allows mistakes. Performance refines them. Do not confuse the two. Many people avoid action because they demand performance before training. That is backwards. You train first. You perform later. Training the mind to act means you accept imperfection. As part of the process, that acceptance removes pressure. Pressure narrows focus artificially. Calm expands it naturally. This is calm authority. Authority that does not rush. Authority that does not panic. Authority that executes regardless. You begin to notice a shift. Action feels less emotional, more mechanical. That is not loss of passion. That is mastery emerging. Masters do not rely on emotion. They rely on system. Your system is standards plus repetition. Focus, execute. Say it internally. Focus, execute. Each repetition reinforces the loop. The loop is simple. Decide, act, repeat. Complexity weakens execution. Simplicity strengthens it. When standards are clear, decisions require less energy. Energy is conserved. Conserved energy compounds. You feel steadier, less scattered. This steadiness is power. Power that does not announce itself. This is why discipline looks quiet. From the outside, nothing dramatic appears to be happening. Inside, everything is reorganizing. Your relationship with effort changes. Effort no longer feels like resistance. It feels like direction. That is a critical shift. When effort has direction, it does not drain you. It strengthens you. You stop negotiating with distraction. Distraction thrives on ambiguity. Standards eliminate ambiguity. You know what you do. You know when you do it. That clarity frees mental space. Mental space allows deeper focus. Deeper focus improves execution quality. Quality improves confidence. Confidence reduces hesitation. This is the cycle you are building. Not through hype, through structure. Structure creates freedom. Freedom from constant decision fatigue. Decision fatigue weakens willpower. Standards prevent fatigue. You are no longer deciding everything. You are executing what was already decided. This is efficient. Efficiency is not speed. It is reduced friction. Your mind feels lighter. That lightness comes from alignment. You are no longer arguing with yourself. Arguments waste energy. Execution uses energy productively. This chapter is not about doing more. It is about doing deliberately. Deliberate action trains faster. Notice how your internal tone is changing. Less noise, more clarity. This is the effect of standards. Standards act like rails. They guide movement. They prevent drift. Drift feels harmless, but it erodes direction. Direction matters more than speed. You are training direction now. Focus again. Another rep. Each time you return to focus, you reinforce control. Control not as domination. As stewardship, you are stewarding your attention. Attention is your most valuable resource. Where attention goes, identity follows. Train attention deliberately. That is mental conditioning. You will notice moments when emotion resists action. That resistance is normal. Do not fight it. Acknowledge it. Then execute anyway. Execution weakens resistance faster than analysis. Analysis feeds resistance. This is why action becomes when standards replace emotion. Emotion changes. Standards remain. You act regardless. Over time, emotion aligns with behavior. This is how discipline feels lighter later. Not because effort disappears, because resistance dissolves. The mind adapts to what is consistent. You are teaching it consistency. Consistency builds identity. Identity reduces effort. This is the cycle. You are inside it now. Stay present. This training is subtle, but it is permanent. You are not forcing change. You are installing it. Installation takes repetition. Each day you execute without drama. You reinforce the system. Systems outlast motivation. That is why this works. Focus. Execute. Say it once more. Focus. Execute. Feel the steadiness. That steadiness is becoming familiar. Familiarity is shifting. Comfort used to live in avoidance. Now comfort begins to live in action. That is a powerful reversal. You feel unsettled when you do not act. You feel aligned when you do. This is discipline becoming natural. Natural does not mean easy. It means normal. Normal action is unstoppable. You do not argue with normal. You do not question it. You do it. That is where you are heading. This chapter prepares you for sustained effort, because the next stages will increase pressure. Pressure reveals training. Training protects you under pressure. You are building that protection now. Quietly, deliberately, focus, execute. Carry this forward, because what you're training here will determine how you respond when intensity rises. Chapter 6, Pressure is proof of growth. Pressure is here. Do not resist it. Do not interpret it as failure. Do not rush to escape it. Stay. Pressure does not arrive randomly. It follows expansion. You did not feel this pressure when you were smaller. You did not feel it when expectations were low. You did not feel it when nothing meaningful was at stake. Pressure appears when capacity is increasing. That is why it feels intense. Most people misunderstand this moment. They believe pressure means something is wrong. They assume they have gone too far, so they retreat. You will not. Pressure is not a warning sign. It is a growth signal. Think about physical training. When you lift light weight, your body stays comfortable. There is no demand for adaptation. But when you increase the load, the body responds immediately. Muscles strain, breath deepens, focus sharpens. That strain is not injury. It is stimulus. Without it, strength does not develop. Pressure works the same way internally. As your standards rise, as your decisions sharpen, as your execution becomes consistent, life responds with resistance, not to stop you, to shape you. Pressure reveals what you are made of. And more importantly, it reveals what still needs strengthening. That is why pressure feels personal. It touches emotions, identity, confidence. Pressure tests emotional control. Emotional control is not suppression. It is regulation. It is the ability to remain steady while intensity increases. This is a leadership skill. Leaders are not the ones who feel less pressure. They are the ones who remain composed inside it. Right now, pressure is asking something of you. Not panic, not retreat. Stability. Feel what pressure does to your body. The alertness, the heightened awareness. This is not weakness. This is readiness activating. Pressure wakes systems that comfort keeps dormant. Comfort relaxes. Pressure sharpens. You need both, but growth happens under load. Pressure demands emotional control, because emotion wants immediate relief. Emotion says, make this stop. Control says, stay steady. Staying steady is not passive. It is active regulation. You slow your breath. You widen perspective. You narrow focus deliberately. These are trained responses. Untrained minds panic under pressure. Trained minds stabilize. That is why training mattered. Now the weight has increased. You feel it. Do not rush to reduce it. Let your system adapt. Pressure feels heavy, only until capacity catches up. This is how strength is built. In physical training, you do not quit when weight feels heavy. You adjust posture. You engage core. You breathe deliberately. You lift anyway. The same applies here. Pressure is the signal that your previous limits are being challenged. That challenge is necessary. Without it, you plateau. Plateaus feel calm, but they hide stagnation. Pressure disrupts stagnation. That disruption is uncomfortable. Good. Discomfort is the doorway to expansion. You are not meant to feel calm all the time. You are meant to feel capable. Capability grows under pressure. Pressure tests your emotional range. Can you stay composed when outcomes matter? Can you remain clear when stakes rise? Can you move deliberately while intensity increases? These are leadership questions. Pressure trains leadership by demanding emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is not coldness. It is balance. You feel emotion. You do not become it. You notice stress. You do not obey it. That distinction matters. When pressure rises, your mind may generate urgency. Your body may tense. This is natural. What matters is response. You do not react blindly. You regulate deliberately. This is where calm authority emerges. Calm authority does not deny pressure. It absorbs it. Like a trained athlete under load, you distribute pressure across systems. You do not collapse under it. Collapse comes from rigidity. Flexibility under pressure is strength. Pressure asks you to expand, not by force, but by adaptation. Each time you remain steady, you teach your nervous system something important. This is survivable. This is manageable. This is growth. That learning reduces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. Pressure becomes familiar. When met consistently, familiar pressure loses its threat. This is why experienced individuals appear calm in intense situations. They are not immune to pressure. They are adapted to it. Adaptation comes from exposure. You cannot think your way into adaptation. You experience it. You stay present. Staying present is critical here. Pressure pulls attention into the future. What if this fails? What if this is too much? Presence anchors you now. Right now is manageable. Future projections amplify pressure unnecessarily. Control what is immediate. That is how you stay steady. Pressure does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence. Be here. Focus on execution. Focus on breath. Focus on posture. These simple actions stabilize the system. Stability allows intelligent response. Without stability, intelligence collapses into reaction. Pressure tests whether you react or respond. Response requires space. Space is created through control. Slow the internal pace, even as external demands increase. This contrast is power. Power is the ability to remain deliberate while intensity rises. You are practicing that now. Pressure reveals emotional habits. Do you rush? Do you freeze? Do you avoid? These patterns are not flaws. They are signals. Signals tell you where training is needed. Pressure is diagnostic. It shows you what breaks under load and what breaks can be reinforced. This is not punishment. It is information. You are learning how you operate under stress. That knowledge is invaluable. Most people avoid pressure and remain unfamiliar with themselves. You are becoming familiar with intensity. Familiarity breeds control. Control breeds confidence. Confidence reduces emotional volatility. This is the upward cycle. Pressure is the gateway. Without pressure, you do not know your limits. Without knowing limits, you cannot expand them. Pressure defines the edge. Edges are where growth occurs. This chapter is about welcoming pressure as a necessary condition. Welcoming does not mean enjoying. It means accepting. Acceptance removes internal resistance. Resistance multiplies pressure. Acceptance stabilizes it. Pressure plus resistance equals overwhelm. Pressure plus acceptance equals growth. Choose acceptance. Say it internally. This is growth. Feel the difference that creates. The body softens slightly. The mind steadies. That is regulation. Pressure becomes manageable when interpreted correctly. Interpretation shapes experience. If pressure means danger, you panic. If pressure means expansion, you engage. Engagement builds strength. Strength increases tolerance. Tolerance reduces stress. This is how pressure transforms from threat to training. Think again of weight training. Muscles grow during recovery, but only because they were stressed first. Stress signals adaptation. Without stress, there is no reason to adapt. Your internal systems operate the same way. Pressure signals adaptation is required. Your job is not to eliminate pressure. It is to respond skillfully. Skill is learned. You are learning it now. Emotional control improves with exposure. Each time you remain steady under pressure, the next time becomes easier. Not because pressure decreases, because capacity increases. Capacity is built, not granted. This is where many stop too early. They feel pressure and assume it means limit. In reality, it means threshold. Thresholds are meant to be crossed, not by force, by consistency. Consistent exposure builds tolerance. Tolerance builds confidence. Confidence stabilizes emotion. Stability enables leadership. This is the chain. Pressure sits at the beginning of it. Pressure is proof you are expanding. Say the affirmation now. I rise. Say it again. I rise. Notice how that feels. Not excitement, elevation. Rising does not feel explosive. It feels steady, like lifting heavier weight. With controlled breath, you do not rush the movement. You do not collapse. You move deliberately. This is controlled escalation. Pressure increases gradually. As capacity improves, you are not overwhelmed all at once. Life increases load in stages. You feel more responsibility, more expectation, more demand. Each stage prepares you for the next. If you retreat now, you interrupt adaptation. If you stay, you grow. Staying does not mean enduring blindly. It means regulating intelligently. Adjust posture, engage focus, control breath. These are metaphors and practices. Internal posture matters. Posture is how you hold yourself mentally. Do you shrink under pressure or stay upright? Upright does not mean rigid. It means aligned. Alignment distributes pressure evenly. Misalignment concentrates it and causes collapse. Alignment comes from clarity. Clarity comes from presence. Presence comes from training. You are trained enough to be here. This pressure did not arrive prematurely. It arrived because you are ready for it, even if you do not feel ready. Feeling ready is not the indicator. Capacity is. Capacity is built quietly. Before pressure appears, your previous chapters trained you. Now the test arrives, not to punish, to confirm. Pressure confirms growth. It confirms increased expectation. It confirms rising standard. It confirms expanded identity. You are no longer operating at old levels. Pressure proves that. Welcome it. Do not dramatize it. Do not personalize it negatively. Interpret it accurately. This is strength training. This mindset changes everything. Your nervous system relaxes slightly. Relaxation under pressure is a sign of control. Control allows precision. Precision improves execution. Execution builds trust. Trust reinforces identity. You begin to trust yourself under load. That trust is powerful. You stop fearing intensity. You stop avoiding challenge. You begin to seek meaningful pressure because you understand its role. Meaningful pressure accelerates growth. Unnecessary pressure drains. You learn the difference. Meaningful pressure stretches capacity. Unnecessary pressure distracts. Discernment develops through experience. You are gaining that experience now. Pressure sharpens discernment. When stakes are real, clarity increases. Distractions lose appeal. What matters becomes obvious. Pressure simplifies priorities. This is another hidden benefit. Comfort blurs focus. Pressure clarifies it. Under pressure, you see what is essential. Essentials guide action. Action builds identity. Identity stabilizes under pressure. This is the cycle repeating. Pressure is not an enemy. It is a teacher, a demanding one, but fair. It gives feedback immediately. When you rush, you feel instability. When you stay steady, you feel control. Pressure rewards skill. Skill grows through repetition. You are repeating regulation now. Each breath, each focused action, you are training emotional muscles. They grow the same way physical ones do. Slowly, through strain and recovery. Recovery matters. You allow rest. After engagement, that is balance. Balance prevents burnout. Burnout comes from unmanaged pressure. Managed pressure strengthens. You are learning to manage pressure. That learning will serve you in leadership, in decision-making, in moments that matter. Pressure will not disappear from your life, but your relationship with it will change. Instead of avoidance, there will be engagement. Instead of panic, there will be steadiness. Instead of collapse, there will be control. That is growth. You rise not by escaping pressure, but by meeting it differently. Say it again. I rise. Feel the grounding in that phrase. Rising is upward movement with stability, not frantic elevation. Stability matters. As pressure continues to increase in future chapters, this steadiness will be tested further. This chapter lays the foundation. You are learning to stay calm while intensity rises. That skill separates those who break from those who expand. You are expanding. Pressure proves it. Stay present with that truth. Carry it forward, because what comes next will demand even greater control. And now you know, pressure is not the problem. Pressure is the proof. Chapter 7, Silence builds strength. Hold center. Do not rush to speak. Do not rush to explain. Do not rush to announce what you are becoming. Stay here. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is containment. At this stage, silence matters more than expression. When growth begins, there is a temptation to talk, to share plans, to explain decisions, to seek acknowledgement. That temptation is natural, and it is dangerous, because momentum is fragile in its early stages. Silence protects it. You do not need external confirmation to continue. You need internal alignment. The more you speak too early, the more energy you leak. Energy is finite. Momentum requires conservation. Silence is how you conserve it. There was a time when explaining yourself felt necessary, when approval felt reassuring, when validation felt like fuel. You are outgrowing that phase. Strength does not announce itself. It consolidates. Quiet is not weakness. Quiet is control. When you speak less, you listen more. When you listen more, you notice patterns. Patterns in others. patterns in yourself. Silence sharpens perception. In silence, you hear your internal signals clearly. You notice when effort aligns. You notice when resistance arises. Noise blurs these signals. Noise creates confusion. You are learning to value clarity over expression. Silence does not mean withdrawal. It means intention. You choose when to speak. You choose when to act. Choice is strength. The need to explain is often the need to be understood. The need to be understood is often the need to be validated. Validation from outside creates dependence. Internal validation creates stability. You are building that stability now. Internal validation sounds like this. I know why I am doing this. No audience required. This is a significant shift. When your motivation becomes internal, you stop negotiating with opinion. Opinions fluctuate. Your direction does not. Silence allows direction to solidify. Think about the strongest people you have observed. Not the loudest, not the most visible. The strongest ones move quietly. They do not broadcast effort. They do not dramatize struggle. They continue. That continuation builds confidence. Confidence that does not need display. This is calm confidence. Calm confidence does not seek attention. It commands respect through consistency. Silence supports consistency. When you are silent, you are not distracted by reaction. Reaction pulls attention outward. Silence pulls attention inward. Inward attention strengthens self-command. Self-command is leadership at its core. You are learning to lead yourself without external noise. This requires discipline. Secrecy becomes a form of discipline here. Not secrecy from fear, secrecy from strategy. You protect your process until it is stable enough to stand on its own. Early exposure weakens structure. Strong systems are built privately before they are revealed publicly. This applies internally as well. Your new habits need protection. Explaining them too early invites interference, questions, opinions, doubt disguised as concern. Even positive feedback can destabilize if received too early. Silence shields you from that. Silence creates a container where growth can occur undisturbed. Inside this container, you refine, you adjust, you strengthen, you make mistakes without explanation. Mistakes do not require defense. When no one is watching, this accelerates learning. Learning thrives in privacy. When performance pressure is removed, honest improvement increases. Silence removes performance pressure. You stop acting for perception and start acting for alignment. Alignment is quieter than performance, but far more powerful. You may notice an urge to speak, to clarify, to justify. Pause. Ask yourself why. Is it to inform or to seek reassurance? If it is reassurance, silence is the answer. Reassurance must come from within. If strength is to last, external reassurance is temporary. Internal reassurance compound. You build it through consistency. Each quiet follow-through adds weight to your self-trust. That trust becomes unshakable. When you trust yourself, you do not need to convince anyone else. Convincing wastes energy. Silence conserves it. There is another layer to silence. Silence creates mystery. Mystery is not manipulation. It is restraint. Restraint increases presence. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you act without commentary, your actions speak clearly. Clarity earns respect. Respect does not come from explanation. It comes from reliability. Reliability is built quietly. You show up, you execute, you continue. No announcement required. Silence also builds emotional strength. When you stop externalizing your internal states, you learn to regulate them. You sit with discomfort. Instead of narrating it, you process uncertainty. Instead of broadcasting it, this builds emotional endurance. Endurance allows sustained effort. Sustained effort creates results. Results speak. You are shifting from expressive strength to contained strength. Contained strength does not leak. Leaked energy dissipates. Contained energy accumulates. Accumulated energy becomes power. This is why silence builds strength. Strength requires containment. Imagine trying to carry water in an open container. No matter how much you pour in, it leaks out. Silence closes the container. Now what you build stays with you. This is especially important when intensity increases. Pressure amplifies noise. Silence stabilizes response. When under pressure, those who talk excessively lose control. Those who remain quiet maintain composure. Composure allows intelligent action. Intelligent action preserves momentum. Momentum is precious now. You have work to build it. Do not dissipate it through unnecessary expression. Silence is not about hiding. It is about protecting. Protecting focus. Protecting rhythm. Protecting identity in formation. Identity is still consolidating. Let it solidify. Solid things do not need reinforcement. Fragile things do. You are moving from fragile motivation to solid identity. That transition requires quiet. Noise belongs to the early stages. Silence belongs to maturity. Notice how your urge to explain decreases as confidence increases. This is natural. Confidence speaks internally. It says, I know. No. Wing removes urgency. Urgency to prove. Urgency to justify. Urgency dissolves in silence. You begin to feel grounded. Grounded people are not reactive. They respond deliberately. Silence creates space between stimulus and response. That space is where control lives. Without space, reaction dominates. With space, choice emerges. Choice defines leadership. You are strengthening that space now. Each time you choose silence, instead of explanation, you widen it. Each time you pause before speaking, you regain control. Control feels calm. Calm confidence grows quietly. It does not rush. It continues. Continue. Notice how continuing without commentary feels different. There is less emotional turbulence. You are not pulled by reaction. You move according to internal standards. Standards do not need explanation. They require execution. This chapter is about refinement. Earlier chapters built momentum. This chapter protects it. Protection allows depth. Depth allows mastery. Mastery emerges silently. Think of craftsmanship. True craft develops away from attention. Attention interrupts refinement. Silence enables it. You are refining yourself now. Not publicly, internally. This refinement is subtle. You become more deliberate, less reactive. You speak when necessary. You remain silent when not. This discernment is power. Power is not constant expression. Power is selective expression. Selectivity requires restraint. Restraint strengthens presence. Presence commands attention without asking for it. This is calm confidence. Calm confidence does not seek validation. It trusts its process. Trusting your process means you stop narrating it. Narration invites interference. Interference slows growth. Silence accelerates it. You may notice others reacting to your quiet. They may question it, misinterpret it. That is not your concern. Your responsibility is to your trajectory. Trajectory is maintained through consistency. Consistency thrives in quiet. Noise introduces variability. Variability weakens system. You are building a strong internal system. Strong systems are stable. Stability looks boring from the outside. From the inside, it feels powerful. You stop feeling the need to prove progress. You trust it. Trust reduces anxiety. Anxiety drives explanation. Calm removes it. Silence becomes comfortable. This comfort is different from avoidance. It is presence without performance. Presence without performance is authenticity. Authenticity does not require explanation. It requires alignment. Alignment is felt, not announced. You are aligning quietly. This chapter is not loud. It is deep. Depth takes time. Time requires patience. Patience is a strength. Patience is reinforced through silence. Silence trains patience. You resist the urge to speak. You resist the urge to rush. Resistance here is not suppression. It is discipline. Discipline protects momentum. Momentum carries you forward. When motivation fluctuates, silence keeps momentum intact. Think about how easily momentum is broken. A single doubt, a single distraction, a single unnecessary conversation. Silence minimizes exposure to these disruptions. You become selective. Selectivity increases efficiency. Efficiency strengthens confidence. Confidence reinforces silence. This is a reinforcing loop. You do not need to explain your direction. Direction reveals itself over time. Time plus consistency equals proof. Proof eliminates doubt. Doubt fuels explanation. You are bypassing doubt by continuing quietly. Continue. This command matters here. Continue even when unseen. Continue even when unacknowledged. Continue especially then, because unseen effort builds the strongest foundation. Foundations are invisible, but they determine height. You are building height now. Silence is part of the structure. This chapter also teaches restraint in emotion, not suppression. Containment. You feel deeply. You do not externalize immediately. You allow emotions to pass through internally. This increases emotional literacy. You learn to differentiate signal from noise. Signal guides action. Noise distracts. Silence reduces noise. You become more attuned to signal. Signals tell you when to push, when to pause, when to adjust. Adjustment is easier in quiet. Noise complicates adjustment. You are simplifying your internal environment. Simplification strengthens execution. Execution builds identity. Identity stabilizes confidence. Confidence supports silence. The loop continues. At this stage, you are not meant to be visible. You are meant to be solid. Visibility comes later. Premature visibility creates pressure before structure can support it. Structure is built quietly. You are respecting the process. Respecting the process is a sign of maturity. Maturity values sustainability over speed. Speed without structure collapses. Structure without speed endures. Endurance matters more. You are building endurance now. Endurance is quiet strength. It does not rush. It continues. Hold center. Center is internal alignment. When you hold center, external reactions lose influence. You remain grounded, even when others react emotionally. This is leadership presence. Presence is felt before words. Silence amplifies presence. When you do speak, it will be intentional. Intentional words carry weight. Weight commands attention. Attention follows substance. Substance is built in silence. This chapter trains you to be comfortable without applause. Applause can distract. Comfort without applause builds intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation lasts. External motivation fades. You are shifting to intrinsic drive. Intrinsic drive does not announce itself. It moves quietly toward goals. You are becoming that movement. As silence deepens, you may feel moments of isolation. That is normal. Isolation here is not loneliness. It is separation from noise. Separation allows clarity. Clarity strengthens resolve. Resolve stabilizes effort. Effort compounds results. Results will come. You do not need to predict them. Prediction invites impatience. Patience is required now. Patience is strengthened through silence. Silence trains waiting without anxiety. Waiting without anxiety is confidence in process. You trust that effort is accumulating. Accumulation is invisible at first. That is why many stop. You will not, because you understand the role of silence. Silence allows accumulation to continue uninterrupted. Interruptions slow compounding. Compounding creates breakthrough. Breakthroughs appear sudden, but are built quietly. You are in the quiet phase. Do not rush it. Rushing breaks rhythm. Rhythm sustains momentum. You have rhythm now. Protected. Silence is protection. This does not mean withdrawal from life. It means withdrawal from unnecessary explanation. You still engage. You still act. You simply do not narrate. Narration consumes energy. Energy is better used in execution. Execution creates tangible progress. Progress fuels confidence. Confidence reinforces silence. This chapter is teaching you to become self-contained. Self-contained does not mean closed. It means stable. Stable systems can handle pressure. Unstable ones require constant reassurance. You are becoming stable. Stability is quiet. It does not need constant input. It operates smoothly. That smooth operation is strength. Strength without noise is rare. It is also undeniable. People sense it. They feel it without explanation. That is presence. Presence is not created through words. It is created through alignment. Alignment is built silently. You are aligned now. Not perfectly, but increasingly. That increase matters. Each quiet day compounds. Each silent decision strengthens resolve. Each continuation deepens identity. Identity is forming. Let it. Do not interrupt it with commentary. Silence is not absence. It is intention. It is focus directed inward. It is respect for the process. It is trust in yourself. Hold center. Continue. This chapter does not end with noise. It ends with steadiness, because what comes next will demand even more restraint, more depth, more internal authority, and silence has prepared you for that. You are carrying strength now, quietly, and quietly, it is growing. Chapter 8, pressure means you're growing. You are still here. That matters. The pressure did not disappear. It stayed, and so did you. This is not coincidence. This is capacity revealing itself. Pressure no longer feels sharp the way it once did. It feels dense, heavy, sustained. This is different. Early pressure shocks the system. Sustained pressure reshapes it. Your nervous system is adapting now. What once triggered urgency now triggers focus. What once created panic now creates alertness. This is growth in motion. You are not reacting the same way anymore. Notice that earlier versions of you would have searched for relief, escape, explanation. Now something else happens. You settle, you stabilize, you hold steady while intensity continues. That is not endurance alone. That is conditioning. Your capacity has increased. Capacity is not how much you can tolerate once. It is how much you can carry consistently. Consistency under pressure is what separates expansion from exhaustion. Exhaustion comes from resistance. Expansion comes from adaptation. You are adapting. This stage is subtle. There is no dramatic breakthrough yet, just a quiet realization. This used to overwhelm me, and now it doesn't. Not because the pressure is smaller, but because you are larger. This is the second transformation peak. It does not explode. It stabilizes. Rapid lines now. You are still here, breathing, thinking clearly, standing upright. Pressure rises. You stay steady. Pressure stays. You continue. This is the shift. Your system no longer interprets stress as danger. It interprets it as demand. Demand activates resources. Your attention sharpens. Your movements become economical. Your thoughts slow down. This is calm under stress. Calm is not the absence of intensity. Calm is regulation W. Within it, you are regulating now. Regulation is not passive. It is active balance. You widen your awareness. You narrow your focus. You hold both. This is advanced control. Most people never reach this state because they avoid sustained intensity. They escape too early. You stayed. Staying changes the nervous system. The body learns. This is survivable. This is manageable. This is normal. Normal matters. When stress becomes normal, it loses its authority. Authority shifts to you. You begin to trust yourself in conditions that once scared you. Trust is everything here. Without trust, pressure feels threatening. With trust, pressure feels constructive. Constructive pressure builds. You are building. Think about how you move now. When demands stack, there is less rush, less noise. You choose what matters. That choice conserves energy. Energy conservation under stress is a sign of maturity. Immature systems burn energy fast. Mature systems allocate it precisely. You are becoming precise. Precision is calm power. This is emotional release, not explosive. Settling, the fight or flight response soften. You do not flee. You do not fight blindly. You engage deliberately. Deliberate engagement rewires pattern. Each time you remain steady, the next time becomes easier. Not because pressure decreases, because regulation improves. Your baseline has shifted. What used to feel intense now feels workable. What used to feel unbearable now feels demanding but clear. Clarity under pressure is one of the strongest signals of growth. Confusion fades when capacity rises. You see priorities more clearly. Noise drops away. You stop asking unnecessary questions. You act on what matters. This is not force. It is efficiency. Efficiency is calm strength. This stage often goes unnoticed. There is no applause, no external marker, only internal certainty. I can handle this. Say it internally, not as bravado, as observation. I can handle this. Feel the difference. That sentence does not inflate you. It grounds you. Grounding stabilizes the system. Stability allows sustained effort. Sustained effort creates real progress. This is where many breakthroughs are born, not in chaos. In steadiness, pressure continues. Deadlines, expectations, responsibility, they do not stop, but they do not dominate you either. You dominate response. Response is the only thing you ever control, and you are controlling it now. Rapid lines again. Pressure stays. You breathe. Demand increases. You adjust. Intensity rises. You remain centered. This is the transformation. You are not hardened. You are conditioned. Hardness breaks. Conditioning adapts. Adaptation lasts. This chapter releases something important. The need to escape pressure. That need kept you small. Now you understand. Pressure is not an enemy. It is confirmation. Confirmation that your standards have risen, that your responsibilities have expanded, that your life is demanding more from you because you can give more. Life does not apply pressure randomly. Pressure follows readiness, even if you did not feel ready emotionally. Readiness is not a feeling. It is capacity. Your capacity has increased. You proved that by staying. You proved it by regulating. You proved it by continuing without collapse. This proof matters more than any affirmation, but affirmations reinforce identity. Say it now. I am ready. Say it again. I am ready. Not for ease, for demand, not for comfort, for responsibility. Readiness does not mean you know everything. It means you can learn under pressure. Learning under pressure is a high-level skill. You are developing it. This is why calm becomes normal. Normal is powerful. When calm is normal, chaos loses leverage. Chaos feeds on emotional spikes. You are smoothing those spikes, not suppressing, regulating. Regulation creates consistency. Consistency builds reliability. Reliability builds leadership. People trust those who remain steady. When things intensify, you are becoming that presence. Presence does not shout. It stabilizes the room. You may notice others reacting around you. More urgency, more noise. You do not absorb it. You stay aligned. Alignment is internal agreement between standards and behavior. You are aligned now. Alignment reduces internal conflict. Reduced conflict frees energy. Freed energy increases capacity further. This is compounding. Growth compounds quietly. Each sustained challenge raises the baseline. The next challenge feels less shocking. You begin to expect intensity. Expectation removes fear. Fear comes from surprise. You are no longer surprised by pressure. You meet it. Meeting pressure directly changes your relationship with effort. Effort becomes familiar. Familiar effort does not drain you. It strengthens you. This is where many confuse fatigue with growth. Fatigue comes from unmanaged stress. Growth comes from managed intensity. You are managing now. Management is control. Control is calm. Calm allows long-term progress. This chapter teaches you that sustained intensity is not something to survive. It is something to normalize. Normalization changes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who copes. You see yourself as someone who carries. Carrying capacity is leadership. Leaders carry weight, not just tasks, consequences, responsibility, pressure. You are training that muscle. The muscle strengthens slowly, but now you feel it. You feel more solid, less reactive, more deliberate. This is emotional release. Release of fear, release of urgency, release of the belief that pressure means something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Everything is expanding. Your nervous system knows this now. That knowledge lives below thought. It shows up as steadiness. Steadiness under stress is one of the clearest markers of growth. You are no longer chasing calm. You generate it. That is power. Power that does not need force. Power that holds shape. Shape under pressure defines strength. You are holding shape. This chapter does not end with relief. It ends with recognition. Recognition that this level of intensity is no longer exceptional. It is normal. Normal for who you are becoming. Carry that forward because the demands ahead will not decrease, but neither will your capacity. You are scaling and you are ready. Chapter 9, Calm Authority. Slow down, not because you are uncertain, because you are steady. Speed is often mistaken for strength. Urgency is often mistaken for importance. True authority moves differently. Authority does not rush. It does not chase. It does not react impulsively. Authority stands firm. At this stage, leadership begins to emerge naturally, not because you claim it, but because you embody it. Leadership is not volume. It is presence. People feel it before you speak. They sense the steadiness, the control, the absence of emotional noise. That absence is not emptiness. It is clarity. Calm authority begins inside. You do not lead others first. You lead yourself. Self-leadership is emotional steadiness under demand. You have learned to regulate pressure. You have learned to stay present. Now you learn to remain composed while influencing others. Influence does not come from force. It comes from certainty. Certainty is quiet. When you are certain, you do not need to convince. Convincing is the language of doubt. Certainty is communicated through posture, through timing, through restraint. You are learning restraint now. Slow down. Notice how slowing down changes your internal tone. You breathe deeper. You observe more. You react less. Reaction creates instability. Stability creates trust. Trust is the foundation of leadership. People trust those who do not panic, those who do not escalate unnecessarily, those who do not outsource their emotional regulation. Calm authority means your emotional state is not dictated by circumstances. Circumstances apply pressure. You apply control. This does not mean detachment. It means composure. You still feel emotion. You simply do not project it outward uncontrollably. Projection transfers instability. Containment preserves order. Leaders contain before they express. Containment allows discernment. Discernment separates signal from noise. Noise demands reaction. Signal invites response. Response requires pause. Slow down. Pause is not hesitation here. It is mastery. Earlier pause meant delay. Now pause means control. This is a critical distinction. You are no longer pausing because you are unsure. You are pausing because you are precise. Precision requires stillness. Notice how calm authority feels in the body. The chest is open. The breath is controlled. The mind is alert but unhurried. The state is magnetic. People are drawn to steadiness, not because it is flashy, but because it feels safe. Safety allows cooperation. Cooperation amplifies leadership. You do not need to demand attention. Attention follows alignment. Alignment between thought, emotion, and action. You have been building this alignment. Now it shows. You speak less, but when you do speak, your words carry weight. Weight comes from consistency. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility makes authority effortless. You no longer explain yourself excessively. You no longer justify every decision. Justification signals insecurity. Certainty signals leadership. This does not mean arrogant. Arrogance is loud. Calm authority is grounded. Grounded people do not dominate conversations. They shape direction. Direction matters more than noise. You are becoming directional. Direction simplifies complexity. When others feel overwhelmed, you remain composed. That composure becomes guidance. You may notice people looking to you, not for answers alone, for stability. This is not accidental. Humans instinctively seek steadiness. When uncertainty rises, you have trained yourself to be steady under pressure. Now others feel that training. You do not need to assert leadership. Leadership is being recognized. Recognition happens quietly, often before you realize it yourself. Stand firm. Firm does not mean rigid. Firm means grounded in principle. Principles guide behavior. When emotions fluctuate, you act from standards, not from momentary impulses. This consistency creates predictability. Predictability builds trust. People trust what they can rely on. Reliability is calm authority in action. You do what you say. You say what matters, nothing extra. This economy of action and speech is powerful. Power is not excess. Power is efficiency. Efficiency conserves energy. Conserved energy allows sustained leadership. Leadership is not a performance. It is endurance. Endurance requires emotional steadiness. Emotional steadiness is trained. You did not arrive here by accident. Earlier chapters trained you to regulate pressure, to remain present, to execute consistently. Now those skills integrate. Integration is maturity. Maturity shows as calm authority. Notice how conflict feels different now. When tension arises, you do not escalate. You observe, you assess, you respond deliberately. This diffuses chaos. Chaos feeds on reaction. You starve it by staying calm. Calm authority has a stabilizing effect. Rooms settle, conversations slow, decisions become clearer. This is influence. Influence without force. Force creates resistance. Authority creates alignment. Alignment is more efficient. You are learning to hold space. Holding space means you do not rush to fill silence. Silence invites clarity. Others speak more thoughtfully. When you do not rush them, thoughtfulness improves outcomes. Outcomes reinforce authority. This is a self-reinforcing cycle. Slow down. Notice how slowing down does not reduce effectiveness. It increases it. Rushed decisions create errors. Measured decisions create stability. Stability compounds over time. You are playing the long game now. The long game requires patience. Patience is a leadership skill. Impatience creates volatility. Volatility erodes trust. Trust is hard to build and easy to lose. Calm authority protects it. You do not overreact to setbacks. You contextualize them. Context reduces emotional charge. Reduced charge improves judgment. Judgment directs action wisely. Wisdom emerges from emotional regulation. This is why you lead yourself first. Without self-leadership, external leadership collapses. People can sense internal disarray. You no longer carry that disarray. You have learned to process internally. Processing internally prevents emotional spillover. Spillover destabilizes environment. Containment stabilizes. You are becoming a stabilizing presence. That presence is authority. Authority without domination. Authority without fear. Authority without noise. Stand firm. Firm in values. Firm in direction. Flexible in approach. Flexibility prevents rigidity. Rigid authority breaks under pressure. Flexible authority adapts. Adaptation sustains leadership. You adjust without losing center. Center is internal alignment. Holding center means you are not pulled by external emotion. You are anchored. Anchors do not move with every wave. They allow movement around them. You are becoming that anchor. People may test this. They may project urgency, emotion, doubt. You do not absorb it. You acknowledge without adopting. This boundary is critical. Leadership does not mean carrying others' emotions. It means regulating your own. Regulation models behavior. Others subconsciously mirror calm. This is social regulation. It begins with you. You are learning that leadership is less about instruction and more about example. Example is powerful. You do not say, "Stay calm." You remain calm. That does more. Calm authority is efficient. Efficiency reduces burnout. Burnout destroys leadership. You are protecting sustainability. Sustainable leadership lasts. Temporary intensity fades. Steady authority endures. This is why slowing down is not weakness. It is strategic. Speed has its place, but speed without control creates mistakes. Control without panic creates excellence. Excellence is consistent quality under pressure. You are approaching that level. Notice how your confidence feels now. It is not loud. It does not need affirmation. It is quiet certainty. Quiet certainty is unshakable. Shakable confidence depends on feedback. Unshakable confidence depends on alignment. You are aligned. Alignment reduces internal conflict. Reduced conflict frees attention. Freed attention improves leadership presence. Presence is felt immediately. People sense when someone is present. Presence communicates respect. Respect invites cooperation. Cooperation amplifies results. Results reinforce authority. Authority stabilizes teams. Stability allows growth. This chain begins with self-leadership. You lead yourself first. That means you regulate emotions before making decisions. It means you respond deliberately. It means you do not outsource responsibility to mood or circumstance. Responsibility is ownership. Ownership is leadership. This chapter is about embodiment. You are not learning concepts. You are becoming a presence. Presence is trained through repetition. Every time you slow down under pressure, you reinforce it. Every time you stand firm in value, you strengthen it. Every time you choose response over reaction, you deepen it. This is not flashy. It is foundational. Foundations determine height. You are building height now. Others will notice change. Before you articulate it, they will feel your certainty. Before you explain it, that is calm authority. Authority that does not argue. Authority that does not chase approval. Authority that holds center. Hold center now. Feel the groundedness. This groundedness allows you to engage with complexity without being overwhelmed. Complexity is inevitable. Leadership simplifies complexity through calm decision-making. You are simplifying by slowing down. Slowing down clarifies. Clarity leads. You are no longer pulled by urgency. You choose pace. Pace determines quality. Quality builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence allows leadership without coercion. This is mature leadership. It emerges quietly. You do not declare it. You live it. As this chapter closes, recognize what has shifted. You are less reactive, more deliberate, less noisy, more certain. This is not coincidence. It is the result of training. You are leading yourself with calm authority, and because of that, others will follow without being asked. Chapter 10, The Person Who Finishes. Finish. This word changes everything. Not starting, not planning, not intending. Finish. Most people live their lives surrounded by beginning. Ideas have formed, projects have executed, promises have kept. They confuse motion with progress. They confuse effort with completion. You no longer do, because finishing is not a task. It is an identity. You are becoming the person who finishes. This is where separation happens. Not loudly, not dramatically, permanently. Up to this point, you have trained awareness. You have trained decision. You have trained discipline. You have trained calm under pressure. You have trained authority. Now all of that converges here. Completion. Completion is where most fall away. Not because they lack ability, not because they lack intelligence, because they negotiate with discomfort. You do not anymore. Discomfort is no longer a debate. It is a signal that you're close to the edge where identity locks in. The final stretch always feels heavier. Energy dips. Novelty fades. Excitement disappears. This is intentional. If finishing required excitement, no one would finish anything meaningful. Finishing requires resolve. Resolve is calm commitment. After emotion leaves the room. S is the third transformation peak, and it is ruthless in its simplicity. Finish. Look at your past honestly, not with regret, with clarity. How many things did you almost complete? How many times did you stop just short of done? That stopping point trained something in you. It trained permission to quit quietly, not dramatically, just subtly. You learned to stop when discomfort peaked. That learning was never challenged until now, because now you understand the cost. Unfinished things linger. They occupy mental space. They drain confidence. They erode self-trust. Each unfinished task whispers the same message. You do not finish. That message accumulates. Over time, it becomes identity. You are dismantling that identity now and replacing it with one decision repeated relentlessly. Finish what you start. This does not mean perfection. It means completion. Completion does something powerful internally. It closes loops. Closed loops free energy. Open loops drain it. This is why finishing feels relieving. Relief is not laziness. It is alignment. Alignment between intention and execution. When alignment exists, self-respect strengthens. Self-respect does not come from ambition. It comes from follow-through. You begin to trust yourself again. Trust compounds quickly once finishing becomes standard. This is where negotiation ends. Earlier, discomfort invited discussion. Now, discomfort receives a response. Continue. Discomfort does not get a vote. Emotion does not decide completion. Standards do. Standards say, this gets finished. No drama, no self-criticism, just execution. This is mature discipline. Discipline without aggression, without punishment. Discipline as agreement with yourself. Agreement that you finish. This agreement simplifies life. You stop wasting energy debating. You stop bargaining with mood. The decision has already been made. Finish. This identity shift is subtle at first. Then it becomes unmistakable. You begin to notice something change. You no longer leave things incomplete casually. The discomfort of not finishing starts to outweigh the discomfort of finishing. This reversal is critical. It means identity has shifted. Finishing now feels normal. Stopping early feels wrong. That is lock-in. Identity lock-in does not require affirmation. It reveals itself through behavior. You stay when others drift. You complete when others pivot. You close when others abandon. This is where finishers separate permanently. Because the world is full of starters, finishers are rare, and rarity creates value. Value is not declared. It is demonstrated. Demonstration requires completion. Completion creates results. Results speak louder than potential ever could. Potential is invisible. Results are undeniable. You are choosing undeniability. This chapter removes the last excuse. The excuse that says, I will finish later. Later is a graveyard of intention. Finish now, not in haste, in resolve. Notice how your posture changes. When finishing becomes non-negotiable, you stand differently, you move differently, you carry responsibility without complaint. Complaint is negotiation. You have moved past that. This is not about pushing harder. It is about stopping earlier quits. Most people do not fail from lack of effort. They fail from premature relief seeking. They stop when effort peaks. Finishers push through that peak, not recklessly, deliberately. They understand effort comes in waves. If you stop at the crest, you never reach resolution. Resolution lies just beyond discomfort. This is why finishing feels powerful. You cross the point where most retreat. Crossing that point reshapes self-image. You see yourself differently, not as someone who tries, as someone who completes. That distinction changes behavior automatically. You begin projects differently, not with excitement, with commitment. You no longer rely on momentum alone. You rely on identity. Identity carries you when momentum fades. This is the moment when effort becomes quieter. You are not hyping yourself. You are executing. Execution does not need encouragement. It needs continuity. Continuity is boring to the undisciplined. It is empowering to the committed. You are committed now, committed to completion. This does not mean you never stop anything. It means you stop intentionally. You do not abandon unconsciously. Intentional stopping preserves integrity. Unintentional quitting erodes it. You feel the difference. Integrity feels solid. This solidity shows up as confidence, not loud confidence, stable confidence, the kind that does not fluctuate based on external feedback, because it is rooted in evidence. Evidence that you finish. This evidence accumulates quickly. Each completed task strengthens the identity. Each finished project reinforces the standard. Standards create predictability. Predictability creates reliability. Reliability creates trust. Trust attracts opportunity. Opportunity demands finishing. The cycle reinforces itself. You are now inside that cycle. This is the third transformation peak, the peak of reliability, where others can count on you, where you can count on yourself. Self-trust is everything. Without it, ambition collapses. With it, pressure becomes manageable. You no longer doubt your ability to carry things to the end. That removes anxiety. Anxiety comes from uncertainty about follow-through. You have resolved that uncertainty. You finish. Say the affirmation now. I finish what I start. Say it again. I finish what I start. Notice how grounded that feels. Not inspiring. Certain. Certainty is the emotional signature of finishers. They do not ask, will I? They state, I will. That statement ends negotiation. Negotiation drains energy. Resolution conserves it. This is why finishing increases energy over time. Unfinished things exhaust. Finished things liberate. Liberation fuels momentum. Momentum carries you forward. This chapter also reveals something else. Finishing simplifies your life. You stop carrying mental clutter. Your attention sharpens. You free bandwidth. Bandwidth allows higher-level thinking. Higher-level thinking improves decisions. Better decisions improve outcomes. Outcomes reinforce identity. Identity stabilizes under pressure. This is a powerful loop. Most people never experience it because they never finish enough. To activate it, you are activating it now. Finishers operate differently under stress. When difficulty increases, they do not search for exit. They search for completion paths. Paths require effort. Effort is accepted. This acceptance removes friction. Friction is what makes effort feel heavy. When effort is expected, it feels lighter. Expectation shapes experience. You expect to finish, so effort aligns. This alignment is subtle but profound. You stop dramatizing challenge. You simply move through it. Movement dissolves resistance. Resistance amplifies discomfort. You are no longer amplifying. You are absorbing. Absorption is strength. Strength that does not announce itself. Others notice quietly. They notice you do not disappear. When things get difficult, they notice you do not abandon responsibility. When pressure rises, they notice you complete. That reputation follows you. Reputation is built by patterns. Finishing is a pattern. Patterns become identity. Identity becomes destiny. This is why finishers separate permanently. Not because they are better people, because they are more reliable. Reliability is rare, and rare qualities create advantage. This advantage compounds over time. One finished thing leads to another. Your capacity expands because you trust yourself. Trust allows you to take on more responsibility, more challenge. You are no longer afraid of commitment. Fear of commitment often hides fear of finishing. You have resolved that fear. Now commitment feels empowering. You say yes with intention. You say no with clarity. Both preserve energy. Energy is directed toward completion. Completion reinforces identity. This chapter seals something. The identity of someone who finishes. Once sealed, it does not require motivation. It operates automatically. Automatic finishing is rare. It is built through repetition. You are building it now. The old version of you may still whisper. It is okay to stop. You hear it. You do not obey it. Not with aggression. With resolve. Resolve does not argue. Resolve continues. Continue. This word carries weight now. Earlier it felt optional. Now it feels natural. Continue until done. Done has a feeling. Completion brings closure. Closure brings peace. Peace creates space. Space allows growth. Growth demands new commitments. Commitments require finishing. The cycle repeats. You are no longer intimidated by long-term effort. Long-term effort is simply short-term effort repeated without quitting. That is all finishing is. There is no secret, no trick, just refusal to abandon yourself midway. This refusal builds pride, not ego. Pride in reliability. Reliability creates dignity. Dignity stabilizes identity. You walk differently now. You carry yourself differently. You do not rush to start new things, to escape finishing old ones. You complete first. Completion creates permission to begin again. Without completion, beginnings feel hollow. Now your beginnings have weight, because you know where they lead. They lead to done. This chapter closes a major loop, the loop of incomplete identity. You are no longer someone who stops when it gets uncomfortable. You are someone who finishes. Say it again. I finish what I start. Let that settle, not as a promise, as a description. This description will be tested. Tests are coming. Bigger commitments, longer timelines, greater pressure. This identity will be required, and it will hold because it is no longer motivational. It is structural. Structure does not collapse easily. Structure endures. You are building structure now. Structure that supports everything that follows. The next chapters will demand endura and seeing. They will demand consistency over time. You are ready for that because you finish. This chapter does not end with excitement. It ends with certainty. Certainty that when things become difficult, you do not look for escape. You look for completion. That single shift separates you permanently, and you know it. Chapter 11, Discipline as Destiny. Stand up, not in defiance. In ownership, stand up internally first, because this chapter is where everything locks together. Discipline is no longer a tool you use. It is no longer something you practice when convenient. It has become direction. It has become destiny. Up to this point, discipline may have felt like effort, like restraint, like something you had to remind yourself to do. That phase is ending. Discipline is shifting from action to identity. When discipline becomes identity, outcomes stop being accidental. They become predictable. This is where success stops feeling random. You begin to notice patterns, not outside of you, inside you. You show up when required. You execute without emotional debate. You finish what you start. These repetitions do something powerful. They compound. Compounding is quiet. You do not notice it day to day. But over time, it becomes undeniable. This is why discipline shapes destiny. Not because discipline is dramatic, but because it is consistent. Consistency creates trajectory. Trajectory creates inevitability. At this stage, you are no longer hoping for outcome. You are building them. Deliberately, focus, bring your attention back to repetition. Repetition is not boring anymore. It is familiar, and familiarity is strength. What you repeat defines your future, not what you think about once, not what you feel inspired to do occasionally. What you repeat. Every repeated action reinforces a direction. Direction, sustained long enough, becomes destiny. This is not philosophy. This is mechanics. Look at your own life as evidence. Who you are now is the result of repeated behavior, not isolated moments. You did not become this version of yourself in a single decision. You trained into it. Now you are training forward. The difference is awareness. You are no longer drifting. You are directing. This is leadership turned inward. Leadership begins with self-governance. Self-governance is discipline without drama. No internal speeches, no emotional bargaining, just execution aligned with standard. Standards are the backbone of destiny. Without standards, repetition becomes random. With standards, repetition becomes structure. Structure supports growth under pressure. You have felt that. Pressure no longer knocks you off course, because discipline holds you in place. Place matters. When your internal position is stable, external chaos loses influence. This is why disciplined individuals appear calm. Not because life is easier for them, because their response is regulated. They are not pulled by impulse. They move by principle. Principle-based living creates predictability. Predictability creates trust. Trust applied inward creates confidence. Confidence removes hesitation. Hesitation wastes energy. Energy conserved compounds effort. This is how discipline accelerates results without increasing strain. Strain comes from resistance. Discipline removes resistance by making action normal. Normal action does not require motivation. It happens automatically. This is where you are headed. You are not forcing discipline anymore. You are living it. That shift changes your internal experience. Effort feels cleaner, less emotional, more direct. You do not argue with tasks. You approach them. Approach leads to engagement. Engagement leads to completion. Completion reinforces identity. Identity reinforces discipline. The loop tightens. Once the loop is tight enough, results become inevitable. This is why disciplined people are misunderstood. Others think they are lucky. They are not. They are consistent. Luck is randomness. Discipline removes randomness. Remove randomness long enough, and outcomes stabilize. Stability creates confidence. Confidence allows expansion. Expansion invites greater responsibility. Responsibility is carried by discipline. You are carrying more now, and you are carrying it without complaint. That is a sign something fundamental has changed. Earlier, discipline felt heavy because identity resisted it. Now identity supports it. Support changes experience. You feel less friction, less inner conflict. Inner conflict drains willpower. Without conflict, energy flows. Flow feels calm. Calm does not mean easy. It means aligned. Alignment reduces waste. Waste shows up as overthinking, as delay, as emotional turbulence. Those have diminished. You notice it. Decisions feel cleaner. You do not spiral. You choose, and then you move. Lead. This command matters here. Lead yourself through repetition. Leadership is not inspiration. It is reliability. You can rely on yourself now. That reliability is not emotional. It is behavioral. Behavior defines destiny. Destiny is not a single future event. It is the accumulation of daily choices. You are accumulating direction. This is why success feels closer now. Not emotionally, structurally. You can see the system working. You do the work. You do it consistently. You finish. Results follow. Not instantly. Predictably. Predictability is underrated. Predictability removes anxiety. Anxiety comes from uncertainty. You are reducing uncertainty through discipline. When you know you will execute, outcomes become less stressful. Stress decreases. Capacity increases. This is the compounding effect. Each disciplined day makes the next not easier in content, easier in execution. Execution no longer drains identity. It reinforces it. You feel stronger after effort, not depleted. This is a sign of alignment. Misaligned effort exhausts. Aligned effort strengthens. Discipline aligns effort with purpose. Purpose does not need constant reflection. It needs consistency. You have reached the phase where consistency matters more than clarity. Clarity improves with movement. Movement is sustained by discipline. This is why discipline becomes destiny, because it sustains movement long enough for clarity to emerge naturally. You no longer panic about direction. Direction reveals itself through action. Action builds evidence. Evidence builds belief. Belief reinforces discipline. The system feeds itself now. You are no longer pushing uphill. You are moving on a structured path. The incline may remain, but your footing is solid. Solid footing changes effort perception. You trust your steps. That trust removes fear. Fear used to interrupt you. It does not anymore. Not because fear vanished, because discipline outpaced it. Fear speaks. Discipline acts. Action reduces fear faster than thought ever could. This is why repetition matters. Repetition outworks doubt. Doubt thrives in gaps. Discipline closes gaps, close enough gaps, and doubt loses leverage. This is how destiny becomes predictable, not through vision boards, through standards. Standards tell you what you do. When motivation fades, motivation always fades. Standards remain. You are operating from standards now. You wake up and act, not based on feeling, based on agreement. Agreement with the person you are becoming. That person does not negotiate daily. That person executes. Execution is identity in motion. Motion compounds direction. Direction shapes future. This is not abstract. This is lived. You feel it in how you approach tasks. There is less resistance, less drama, more directness. Directness is power. Power does not shout. It persists. You persist now. This persistence is not forced. It is chosen repeatedly. Repeated choice becomes habit. Habit becomes character. Character becomes destiny. You are building character deliberately. Character is revealed under pressure. Pressure no longer breaks you. It sharpens you. This is because discipline holds shape under load. Shape matters. Without shape, effort collapses. With shape, effort strengthens structure. Structure supports growth. Growth expands capacity. Expanded capacity invites greater challenges. You are no longer intimidated by this. You expect it. Expectation changes emotional response. What you expect feels manageable. What surprises feels threatening. You are no longer surprised by discipline. It is normal. Normal repetition is unstoppable. This is why success becomes predictable. You do the work. You do it again. You do it when tired. You do it when unseen. You do it when it would be easier not to. Not because you are forcing yourself, because this is who you are now. Identity removes choice fatigue. You are not choosing discipline daily. You are expressing it. Expression is effortless compared to enforcement. You are no longer enforcing rules on yourself. You are living by them. This internal alignment reduces friction. Reduced friction increases output. Increased output accelerates results. Results reinforce discipline. The cycle strengthens. This is the inevitability phase. Not because you cannot fail, but because you are unlikely to quit. Failure does not define destiny. Quitting does. You do not quit. You adjust. You refine. You continue. Continuation is discipline in action. Continue long enough, and destiny unfolds. People outside may still see uncertainty. You do not. You see the system. Systems outperform talent over time. Talent fluctuates. Systems endure. You have built a system inside yourself. A system of standard, of execution, of finishing. This system does not depend on mood. That is why it lasts. You are no longer chasing moments of excellence. You are building a pattern of reliability. Reliability creates trust. Trust opens doors. Doors require discipline to walk through. You are ready for those doors because you can sustain what you enter. Sustainability matters. Many reach opportunities they cannot maintain. Discipline allows maintenance. Maintenance allows growth at scale. Scale requires patience. Patience is discipline stretched over time. You are patient now, not passively, actively. You act daily without immediate reward. That is maturity. Maturity sees beyond emotion. Emotion lives in the present. Destiny unfolds over time. You are no longer trapped in immediacy. You operate on longer timelines. Longer timelines reduce pressure. Reduced pressure improves quality. Quality compounds reputation. Reputation attracts responsibility. Responsibility tests discipline. Your discipline holds. This is why destiny becomes visible long before it arrives. You can sense it now, not as excitement, as certainty. Certainty that if you continue, results will come, not because of hope, because of structure. Structure does not rely on chance. It produces outcomes. You have moved from wishing to building. Building takes time. Time requires discipline. Discipline gives time meaning. Without discipline, time passes. With discipline, time compounds. You are compounding now. Each day adds weight. Weight adds momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Resistance fades. What remains is movement. This is destiny in formation, not fate. Design. You are designing your future. Through repetition. Stand up. Stand in this understanding. Focus. Focus on what you repeat, because repetition is writing your future. Right now, lead. Lead yourself through standard. Standards do not argue. They guide. You follow them. That following builds a life that looks intentional from the outside, because it is disciplined on the inside. This chapter does not end with intensity. It ends with inevitability. The quiet confidence that if you continue, the outcome is only a matter of time. Time is no longer an enemy. Time is your ally, because discipline compounds, and what compounds long enough becomes destiny. Chapter 12, Everything Follows. This is not effort anymore. This is who you are. Feel the difference. There was a time when every step required force, when movement felt heavy, when discipline felt like resistance. That time is past, not because life became easier, but because you changed. When hesitation is gone, everything follows. Alignment arrives quietly. You do not chase confidence. It appears. You do not demand clarity. It settles in. You do not ask for respect. It emerges naturally. This is the final transformation piece. Not loud, not explosive, integrated. You are no longer splitting energy between doubt and action. Energy moves in one direction now. Forward. That is alignment. Alignment is when thought, emotion, and behavior agree. Agreement removes friction. Friction was the exhaustion you felt before. Now movement feels clean. You wake up with direction, even on days without motivation, because motivation is no longer required. Identity carries you. This is the shift most people never reach. They remain dependent on emotion. You are not. Emotion still exists, but it does not lead. You lead. This is self-command. Self-command is quiet. It does not announce itself. It expresses itself through consistency. Others notice the difference. They notice you do not hesitate. They notice you do not explain excessively. They notice you do not chase approval. You move with certainty. Certainty does not rush. Certainty does not pause unnecessarily. Certainty moves when it is time and waits when it is wise. That discernment is new. It comes from alignment. When identity is stable, decisions become obvious, not easy. Obvious. You know what to do because you know who you are. This is no longer a phase. This is structure. Structure supports everything that follows. Career, leadership, relationships, legacy. When internal structure is solid, external complexity becomes manageable. You do not feel overwhelmed by choice. You choose. Choice no longer threatens you because you trust yourself. Trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence is not self-talk. Confidence is evidence accumulated over time. You have that evidence now. You decided. You executed. You finished. Repeatedly. That repetition changed your self-image. You no longer wonder if you can be relied on. You know that knowing creates calm. Calm allows presence. Presence earns respect. Respect follows alignment. Everything follows. This is the moment where intensity softens, not into weakness, into steadiness. Steadiness is strength that lasts. Lasting strength does not demand attention. It commands it quietly. You have become grounded. Grounded people are difficult to shake. They are not reactive. They are responsive. Response requires space. You have space now. Space between impulse and action. Space between emotion and decision. That space is mastery. Mastery feels quiet from the inside, but from the outside, it looks undeniable. People may describe you differently now. More focused, more composed, more decisive. They may not know why. You do, because you removed hesitation. Hesitation was the last internal leak. Once it closed, energy stopped draining. That energy reinforced alignment. Alignment reinforced identity. Identity stabilized behavior. Behavior produced results. Results confirmed belief. Belief reinforced discipline. The system closed. This is who you are now. Notice how your inner dialogue has changed. less negotiation, less self-questioning, more instruction. Do this, continue, finish. These are not commands anymore. They are descriptions of how you operate. Operating from identity reduces effort. Effort was required when identity and behavior conflicted. Now align. Alignment is efficient. Efficiency creates space. Space allows vision. Vision becomes clearer now, not fantasy. Trajectory, you can see where you are heading. Because the noise has quieted, clarity arrives when friction leaves. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions internally. Direction is singular, not narrow. Aligned, you know what matters. You know what does not. That knowing reduces distraction. Distraction weakens momentum. Momentum is stable now, not frantic. Sustained. Sustained movement compounds outcomes. This is where future pacing becomes real. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, not as a dream, as a continuation. You are not imagining a different person. You are imagining a more established version of who you already are. More consistent, more composed, more reliable. The trajectory is obvious. If you continue as you are now, results are inevitable, not because of luck, because of structure. Structure produces outcomes. This is why anxiety fades here. Anxiety comes from uncertainty about follow-through. You have resolved that uncertainty. You follow through. That certainty calms the nervous system. Calm frees attention. Attention improves execution quality. Quality compounds reputation. Reputation attracts opportunity. Opportunity demands identity to sustain it. You have that identity. This is alignment at scale. You are no longer preparing to become someone. You are operating as someone. This changes how the world responds to you. People sense self-command. They sense reliability. They sense that you do not drift. That sensing creates trust. Trust creates influence. Influence creates leadership. Leadership is no longer something you seek. It finds you because leadership follows identity. Everything follows. There is relief here, not relief from effort, relief from inner conflict. Conflict drained energy. Alignment restores it. You feel more available, not emotionally reactive, available to think clearly, to listen, to decide. This availability is present. Presence is power, not power over others. Power over self. Self-command changes posture. You stand differently. You move with intention. You do not rush to fill silence. You allow space. Space gives others room to settle. They feel steadier around you. That is leadership presence. It is felt, not taught. This chapter also marks something else. The end of striving. Striving is effort without alignment. You are no longer striving. You are building. Building feels different. It feels patient. Patient does not mean passive. It means intentional. You are not desperate for results. You trust the process because you are the process. That trust is earned. Earned trust does not waver. This is where respect deepens, not surface-level admiration. Respect rooted in consistency. Consistency under pressure. Pressure tested you. You held. Silence refined you. Discipline structured you. Completion sealed you. Now everything follows. Confidence follows alignment. Clarity follows consistency. Respect follows reliability. You do not chase these. They arrive. This is why the final transformation is quiet. There is no need for escalation. Escalation belonged to earlier stages. Now there is integration. Integration is power distributed evenly. Nothing leaks. Nothing conflicts. This is the silence after intensity. Stay here for a moment. No commands. Just awareness. Feel the steadiness. This steadiness is not fragile. It is structural. You could carry more now. Not because you want to prove something. Because you are capable. Capability is calm. Capability does not shout. Capability waits when appropriate and moves when required. That timing is new. Earlier timing was emotional. Now it is deliberate. Deliberate timing improves outcomes. Outcomes reinforce identity. The loop sustains itself. This is what people mean when they say everything follows. They rarely explain it. Now you understand it from the inside. When hesitation disappears, energy aligns. When energy aligns, action becomes consistent. When action is consistent, results accumulate. When results accumulate, identity stabilizes. When identity stabilizes, confidence becomes natural. Natural confidence does not seek validation. It attracts respect. Respect opens doors. Doors require discipline to walk through. You walk through them. This is no longer theory. This is lived experience. You are living it now. Future pacing again. Imagine 1 year from now. Not dramatic success. Stability at a higher level. You are trusted. You are reliable. You are calm under demand. People come to you when things matter. You do not panic. You assess. You decide. You act. That sequence defines leadership. Leadership is not charisma. It is dependability. You are dependable now. This dependability shapes your environment. People adjust around you. Standards rise. Expectations increase. You meet them. Meeting expectations consistently builds influence quietly. Influence does not need announcement. It's free, adds naturally. This is the difference between effort-driven success and identity-driven success. Effort-driven success is fragile. Identity-driven success compound. You are compounding. This chapter also marks an ending, the end of proving. You no longer need to prove that you are capable. You live capability. You do not need to prove discipline. You demonstrate it daily. You do not need to prove strength. You hold it quietly. This is maturity. Maturity does not need validation. Validation is replaced by alignment. Alignment feels complete, not finished. Complete. There will always be more to do, but you are complete in how you approach it. Approach matters more than outcome. Approach determines sustainability. You are sustainable now. You can continue without burning out. Burnout comes from misalignment. Alignment renews energy. Energy flows differently when identity is stable. You recover faster. You reset without collapse. You maintain momentum through cycle. Cycles are inevitable. High intensity, low intensity. You navigate both with steadiness. Steadiness is the final skill, not constant intensity, regulated intensity. This allows long-term leadership. Short bursts impress. Long consistency builds legacy. Legacy follows identity. Identity follows repetition. Repetition follows standard. Standards follow self-command. Self-command follows decision. You decided. That decision set everything in motion. Now it is self-sustaining. This is the end of instruction. From here, you do not need to be told. You know. Knowing replaces motivation. Knowing is quiet. Knowing is grounded. Knowing is confident. This chapter ends with silence, because silence fits who you are now. Not silence as absence. Silence as completion. Before we close, affirm the truth, not as hope, as identity. Say it slowly. I decide who I become. Say it again. I decide who I become. Feel the ownership in that sentence. Not pressure. Ownership. Ownership is freedom. Freedom from reaction. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from hesitation. You are free because you are aligned. Aligned people move cleanly through life. They do not waste energy fighting themselves. They direct it outward. This direction builds impact. Impact does not require noise. It requires consistency. You have that consistency. As this chapter closes, there is nothing left to push, nothing left to prove, only continuation. Quiet, deliberate, certain, everything follows. Because you lead yourself, and you will continue to do so, long after this moment ends. This is not the end. It is the confirmation. You are no longer becoming. You are. Final conclusion. You did not lose hesitation. You outgrew it. That distinction matters. Losing suggests struggle. Outgrowing suggests strength. You did not fight yourself into change. You built yourself beyond the need to hesitate. That is maturity. Look at where you stand now. Calm, clear, grounded. Not because life is quiet, but because you are steady. You no longer negotiate with doubt. You no longer wait for permission. You no longer depend on motivation. You decide. You act. You continue. This is not intensity. This is certainty. Certainty does not rush. It does not announce itself. It moves with direction. From this point forward, your life responds differently. Because you respond differently, challenges will still appear. Pressure will still rise. But your response is no longer reaction. It is leadership. You lead yourself first. That leadership shapes everything else. Your work gains weight. Your words gain clarity. Your presence earns respect. Not because you demand it, because you embody it. This is the result of alignment. When thought, emotion, and action agree, effort fades. What remains is execution. You do not need to remember who you were. You only need to continue as who you are. The future does not intimidate you now. It invites you because you trust yourself inside it. Nothing about this path was accidental, and nothing ahead is uncertain anymore. Because you have proven consistency under pressure, integrity in action, and the quiet courage to continue when comfort offered escape, delay, or retreat instead of growth and responsibility that defines leadership for your life now. Stand up. Stand in the identity you have built. Focus on what you repeat. because repetition writes destiny. You rise now, not suddenly, not dramatically, inevitably. Say it once more slowly. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become.